Right, you lot, and it has been a week, of course, since the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, which I already did a video on when it broke, and how stunning and how appalling the whole thing was, obviously, but a week later, the story continues, and it was very naive to believe, and I already said in the video that I knew, despite I hoped that somehow there'd be some unity and coming together of people, it would just be more division and more culture war, of course. Because that was obvious. You immediately have the president jumping to conclusions before evidence was even released about motivations for this. Then you had some people on the left celebrating, and then you had other people on the right who were insinuating this was the party line of the Democrats, and it was a crazy cesspool, which of course you expected. And I've never quite seen anything like this proper witch hunt, that no matter what you read on this subject, there's forks in your brain. It's been so polarising. Of course, we do now know the man who is alleged to have committed the abhorrent crime, a man named Tyler Robinson. And my lord, once we found out who he actually was and that his parents were apparently MAGA, the U-turn that certain people made was just funny. Bloody hell. People going from death penalty to we need to pray for him in a matter of moments. It was funny to watch on Twitter, man. It really was. And once certain people found out that his parents are MAGA, they needed a new reason to explain things, and they went with his college had brainwashed him. The problem was, we found out he only ever did one semester at the college, and it was online, so that didn't really work. There also seemed an obsession, I don't know if this is just me being on Twitter too much, with some people trying to connect this assassination to transgenderism. People were assuming that the person was trans before we even found out who it was, and then once we found out who it was, there was a conspiracy which way too many people believed. There was some engraved trans messaging in the bullets. This was debunked. Then there was apparently a roommate or partner of Tyler who apparently was trans. We don't know for certain if this is true or not, but from reports I've seen, this person cooperated well with the police and was shocked about the whole thing. Not really, relevant. And my favourite one was that some people were apparently connecting a queer artist in this guy's Spotify playlist to him being brainwashed. I've got Kanye West in my playlist. I'm not a Nazi. That was just ridiculous. The loops in logic that certain people did. There seemed to be a massive crackdown out of this, especially in America. It's quite ironic, and I find it quite funny that America is a free country. The First Amendment, which of course was used as justification for a lot of the stuff that Charlie said in his career, but one of the best things about that country is that you can say whatever you want about prosecution to a degree, as long as you're not, violent. It wasn't just people that were, clearly celebrating losing their jobs. We saw a whole host of people, with minimal criticism of Kirk and some of his opinions, not even, happy that he was dead, but just making points about some of the stuff that he said. No different to some of the stuff I said in my video. We're losing jobs as, pilots and normal everyday jobs. Why your opinion on the death of a political activist is anyway connected to your everyday job is awful. I think it's anti-free speech. I also think it's very authoritarian, and I don't particularly like that happening. You've also seen certain journalists, news sources shut down and stuff. I don't really like when that sort of stuff is censored, because it just isn't a particularly good look. But the worst case of this all is the topic of the video. I took a while to get going here, which is Jimmy Kimmel. Now, if you don't know who Jimmy Kimmel is, he's a pretty unfunny comedian. He's someone that I never really found very funny. I think he was terrible when he hosted the Oscars, but he hosts a show on ABC, and he's been known to throw shots at the president, which, I mean, it's quite hard not to. Can you blame him? And making jokes. Now, he was sacked for apparently comments about Kirk. Now, you'd think, he celebrated the death live on air or said something horrible. like he deserved what happened to him or something like that. You'd expect that would be the comments that Jimmy Kimmel would have had to have said to be sacked in a country that is all about free speech, right? Well, I'll put the clip in a second, but all he actually said and all he actually did, he didn't even, like, criticise Kirk. He didn't celebrate the death of Kirk, really. It wasn't really about
desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points. The White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
Was about two things. A, the certain subsection of MAGA who were instantly making conspiracy theories about who the guy was before any evidence was out, and a roast at the president where the joke was him playing something that he said, which was a very bizarre response. I know we have grief in different ways, but that just was a pretty out of touch, not really well thought out response, like most responses from that man in public. But so it's not like he was like making rumours about the president or saying something that was untrue, because the tape was right there. All Kimmel said was what he said in the clip. He's been sacked for showing something that the president said. It's honestly lunacy. I've not seen a sack in this arse since Carlo Ancelotti got the boot from Chelsea for finishing second. Like, I actually cannot believe that he's been gone for that. Like, how sensitive can you be? Absolute, like, they call other people snowflake. And this is the thing, right? The right were really upset in the 2017, 2018 Me Too era when all your famous Hollywood executives and big names were being shown as awful people, abusive, and have been getting away with stuff for decades, and they got exposed. And everyone hated that cancel culture and Me Too much. But now, the people on that side are just as bad when it comes to the cancel culture stuff. Because this is our problem with a lot of these so-called, like, free speech advocates or free thinkers, whatever they label themselves. Like, they're not really campaigning for free speech. It's only really, like, what they believe. And they still call for the heads of opposition. So you just think that what you believe is being censored. You're not actually, like, calling for free speech for all, are you? And the timing couldn't have been worse with this Jimmy Kimmel event, because 2 days prior on Fox News, we saw a presenter openly say that we should involuntarily kill homeless people as a cure for the homeless crisis.
Involuntary lethal injection or something, just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
I'm not making that up. Like, you think I made it up? No. And on the show, all the other guests on the show act as if, like, he's just said the word "the." Like, they literally fly past it. Like, it was a nothing comment. And all he had to do was say sorry in the worst apology I've seen since Colin Ballinger. And they gave him a slap on the wrist and he's back on. But Jimmy Kimmel shows a clip of something the president said and makes a little joke about MAGA people, jumping to conclusions, and he's out the door. I think the sacking is anti-First Amendment. I think it's dangerous. I think it's quite authoritarian. And there seems to be a scope, and I'm not going to talk about, like, two-tier systems or fascist conspiracies or any of that sort of stuff. I think that's a bit stupid to make those connections and dots, but I think it is very scary, something like this. And one more thing, I do not want to see J.D. Vance ever talking about free speech being under threat in the UK again after stuff like this, when people are losing their jobs for saying stuff on social media. Isn't that the same thing you're moaning about in this country? So you're a hypocrite. You're doing the same thing over there, JD. honestly. Don't say a word about a country you don't live in again. The moral of the story is that we haven't learned anything, and we've not got the right reaction from this death. I think it's very scary what happened with Kimmel. I don't agree with it. I think it's an absolute joke. I can't actually believe it. I find it funny, like, how did that happen? And this is for Jimmy Kimmel, a comedian that I found about as funny as my great-nan's funeral. And that just says it all. But, like, I don't want to hear any MAGA people. I also don't want to hear comedians, like, defending it. People like Gervais, who have been campaigning for years about censorship and comedy. I want people to come out and speak against this, because this is absolutely absurd, and I hope this isn't just swept under the rug, because this is ridiculous that that's happened. Right, I'll see you lot soon, goodbye.